So today we are going to study magnetic field of a toroidal. It's another exercise or another application for measuring the magnetic field strength. So what the first thing what is toroidal? So toroidal, when a solenoid is bent into the form of closed ring, it's called toroidal. When a solenoid bent into the shape of when solenoid is bent into the shape of the shape of the loop thing. Here is a solenoid. Now when this solenoid is bent into the form of loop, how can we do it? Okay, so this is now toroidal. Okay, so that's how toroidal look. So this is our toroidal. Now our purpose to find out magnetic field due to this toroidal. Different places. What is toroidal? Okay, we understand when we bend the solenoid into the shape of ring, when we got a toroidal. So let's see. So to find out the magnetic field at different point on toroidal, so first again let us draw toroidal bigger one. Okay. Okay. And this is our toroidal. Now in this toroidal, and let's say the current I is flowing in it. I current. Okay, and the radius internal radius is R1 and external radius is R2. And I simply write it here R2. The external ring radius is R2. So to find out the magnitude, let's say the point P is at the center of toroid. So when point P, when observation point, point P is observation point. When point P is, let's consider point P, and around that we need to draw first Ampere loop as per the Ampere circuit, because we just like a Gaussian surface. So we need to draw an Ampere loop. So I try to draw an Ampere loop here. This is an Ampere loop of radius, let's say of any radius R. Okay. Second, I'll write on it Ampere loop of radius, let's say R3. Okay. Now we'll go to the next slide. Now, as per, okay, by Ampere circuit law, by Ampere circuit law, the Ampere circuit law, the length of the loop, okay, the orange loop, sorry, the blue loop is L1, let's say name it, and its value circumference because it's loop, and it is 2 pi R3. Okay. Now as per Ampere circuit law, magnetic field B L1 B11 is equal to mu 0 I. Okay, but remember, as there is no current in that Ampere loop, as there is no current, since I is equal to 0, so V is equal to simply 0. Since current is 0 in that loop, which loop? This blue loop of radius R3. Similarly, we draw another loop here. We can do this one, this yellow one. Okay, let's draw it from here. I'm sorry. Now yellow loop. Okay, and let's say the yellow loop radius. Trigonometric. Let's say the radius is R4. So for that yellow ampere loop, let's add it one more. That means for right. For yellow loop, R is equal to R3. So then L is equal to the length of the loop will be 2 pi R3. So by Ampere circuit law, by AC law, by AC I'm speaking, okay. So B L3 is mu 0. Now if you look at again, this yellow loop is within the toroidal, from where the current is flowing. The current I is flowing, and this is yellow loop. Okay, the yellow loop is in that region, so I3 cannot be 0. And let's say in this toroidal, the number of turns are n, the number of loops are n. So the total current will be n into I. So B is simply mu 0 and I upon, now L3 is simply 2 pi R3, so it is 2 pi R3. So it is easy. Now magnetic field again. Further, so let's go back again. Now we have to draw on a third case. Which color should I use? So many colors. Black color. So there also I need I draw and simply shift it. Now the black loop, you can see it now. Let's say the radius of black loop is R4. Okay. Now we'll go back to our next slide to add up. So for I simply write for outer loop L4, let's name it. The length of the loop is 2 pi and radius is R4. This is 2 pi R. And so by Ampere again. So let me take a break. Hello. Call करिए. So now we simply apply B Ampere circuit law. BL4 is equal to mu 0. Again but since I would say I simply write since I is 0 for this loop because there is no current outside the toroidal. So it may be problem to since I is 0, so B is equal to 0. So only so from this it is very much clear that magnetic field is only present in this yellow loop, not in any loop. Okay. Now we'll go to our next slide or next topic, I would say. Let's add more topics. It's having different applications. Okay. Now we have to a main topic, very most important topic of our class 12 or this chapter, for exam purpose, cyclotron. Okay, cyclotron. Cyclotron. Okay, we are studying cyclotron. So first question, what is cyclotron? Okay, cyclotron. So cyclotron is a device which used to accelerate positively charged particles such as protons, alpha particles, to acquire enough energy to carry out nuclear disintegration. I'm just repeating, cyclotron is a device which is used to accelerate positively charged particles such as proton, alpha particle to acquire enough energy to carry out nuclear disintegration and etc. So the principle. So what is the principle? Okay, let's read it. What is principle? When a positively charged particle is made to move again and again in a high frequency electric field, and when a positively charged particle is made to move again and again in high frequency electric field and using a strong magnetic field, then it gets accelerate and acquire sufficient energy, sufficiently large amount of energy. So that's simple principle. So first of all, what is required? High frequency electric field and magnetic field and electric field will be having and magnetic field. So when a charged particle is made to move again and again in high frequency electric field and using the magnetic field, then it get accelerated and acquire sufficiently large amount of energy. So let's go to the construction part. What is construction? So let me draw and then explain you. So first of all, okay. Okay. Now I'll again use, what is this? I'll tell you. Now what you can see from here, I use a rubber, the rubber portion of it. You can see here two D's, just like a mirror image. So these are called D's. It consists of two hollow D-shaped metallic chambers, D1 and D2. D1 and D2. So I'll name it, this one as D1 and this one as D2. These D's are separated by a small gap where a source of positively charged particle is placed. There is a gap between them. You can see it here. These are connected to high frequency oscillator. High frequency oscillator, both the D's. So what I will do, I'll use a connector. So this D. So let's I'm making connection. Are connected to high frequency oscillator. So this S is an oscillator. Now, which provide high frequency electric field. So this oscillator provide high frequency electric field across the gap of the D's. This arrangement is placed between two poles of strong electromagnet. Two poles of strong electromagnet. So what I'll use a different color. A horseshoe magnet or anything. Okay, let's say this one is north and this one is south. So these are placed between two poles of strong electromagnet. The magnetic field due to this electromagnet is perpendicular to the plane of these. Perpendicular to the plane of these, you can see from the diagram itself. Now it's working. So it has two D's. Why they are called D's? Because the shape of the chambers, hollow chambers, are in the shape of D's, and there is a gap between them. So that small gap where the source of positive charge particle is placed. These are these D1 and D2 are connected to high frequency oscillator, which provide high electric field across it. Now one more thing, I made sure see what is these having something else also. Just wait and watch. Now these having so many circles, paths you can say draw. Why I'm drawing? So we will know about this on working. So let's read it. How working. So if a positive charge particle is emitted from O, means O, where is O? Let me draw it. Center. Okay, from center O. When D2 is negative, okay, it's a high frequency, so this is an alternative where one end is become positive and other end become negatively, and again the previous end become positively and another so alternatively the polarity of the and polarity of D changes from D1. When D1 is positive, then D2 is negative, and again D2 is positive, then D1 is negative, and vice versa. When D2 is negatively charged and D1 is positively charged, it will accelerate toward D2 as we are taking a positive charge particle. So as it is written, when D2 is negatively charged and D1 is positive. So let's say I'm just making it. D2 is negatively charged and D1 is positive charged. So as we have a positive charge particle, the positive charge particle move to the negative end of the battery, negative end, attached to the negative end. So charge particle start, okay, from here, from the center, it start actually entering the, okay, let me, okay, like this, let me see, okay, it's making the, there are so many patches, remember, let me make it more clear. Okay, remember, this charge, so it enters into the positive, negative, but as soon as it cover the half of the D, okay, half, as it travel the path in D2, path in D2, the polarity in that time, the polarity changes, so the D1 become negative and D2 become positive. Now when this positive charge move to D1, and as it traveling along the path, as it finish its path, as it finishes its path, let me draw it. Path in D1, again the polarity changes, that means it become D1 become positive and D2 become negative. So again this will travel. So this is means a high frequency where the polarity changes. So the particle gain more and more energy, travel along. Okay, it will be excited toward D2. As soon as it will accelerate, as it got a positive, as soon as it entered D2, it's shielded from electric field by a metallic chamber. Side D2. It moves in the right angle to the magnetic field and hence described as semicircular. Okay. How it is taking at the main important thing in this working is how the particle is standing itself in such a shape. So that is because of magnetic field. We have placed this these in plane in perpendicular to north-south magnet. So this magnetic field influences the particle to make a circular path. So that is why you can see now these circular paths are drawn here. Actually, these are the paths. So on each half cycle, on each half of the path, it accelerated and it moved to the next higher circular path. So this way, on each on each cycle, it gains more energy, and at the end, the outer edge is got higher energy. It's called electromagnetic effect. When a magnetic field is applied perpendicular to electric field. This we will study soon. Okay, in this topic itself. So how the electric field is affected by magnetic charged particle as electric and magnetic field both. Okay, so it moves at right angle to the magnetic field and hence describing a semicircular inside it. After completing the semicircle, it enters the gap between the D's at the time when the polarity of D's have been reversed. Means polarity have changed from negative to positive and positive to negative. Now the portion is further the particle is further accelerated toward D1, then it enters D1 again and describe the semicircle due to magnetic field, which is perpendicular to the motion of the sun. This motion continues till the proton reaches the periphery over the system. Periphery means at the outer edge, or you get this portion, okay, this edge. When it covers the complete, okay, so that is why the construction of cyclotron is such that so that we got a definite amount of energy. So when the positive particle reaches to the outer edge or the last circle, last ring, you can say last path, there is always we create an opening here. Okay, we create an opening at that time, and so the particle, accelerated particle, move tangentially to it. As you know, if you remember, whenever it, a stone is tied with a thread, and when you rotate it, on rotating it, and once you release the thread from your hand, the stone will go in that way, tangential to its path. So the same way, if you release the particle over here, it will go straight that way. And that high energy particle I'm just making it more clear. So when that high energy particle collide with, as we said, it is for nuclear disintegration, collide with a nuclear metal, it disintegrates. If you remember how the nuclear uranium-237 disintegration, when high energy, if you recap the 10th class, if high energy, what? Protons, alpha particles, what they bombard? Neutrons. When these high energy neutrons, we write it 0, 1. And these high energy neutrons collide with heavy nucleus such as uranium-237. Nuclear disintegration starts. So that's how we, for that neutron we have different, okay, because here we are talking about positively charged accelerator, which accelerates a positive charge to very high. Okay. So we create a window when it required, okay, when a particle required sufficient energy, so it come out from the um, from the cyclotron. Now what is the theory? Theory. Theory means how this happen, okay? When a proton means positive particle move at right angle to the magnetic field B inside the D, magnetic Lorentz force act on it. Okay, so the magnetic Lorentz force we will talk about here. So this is the force F is equal to Q VB sine 90 degrees. Because V is velocity, V is magnetic field, increase the charge. So the angle between the velocity vector and B is 90 degrees. So sine 90 is 1. So the Lorentz force action. So under is QV. Now this force provides the necessary centripetal force. This force provides a necessary centripetal force. Why we require a centripetal force? To make a circular path, circular motion necessary to the charged particle to move in a circular path. mv square upon r. So this Lorentz force is in provide necessary centripetal force. So we now equate these two. So QVB is equal to mv square upon r. Or simply we cancel out the terms. So we got r is equal to mv upon qb. Oh, this is the radius, and radius of the path radius of the circular path along which particle starts moving. If c is, let's say, if t is time taken, t time taken is time taken, t is the time taken, time taken to, let's make it, to cover semicircle semicircular. Okay, semicircle inside the disk. Then T is equal to distance upon velocity, and semicircle path length is pi r. 2 pi r is a complete, so pi r and v. So so T is equal to, we can simplify now how much time. So pi upon v, and R we just got it in earlier equation, mv upon qv. So we cancel out. So we got simply pi m upon qb. So this is the time taken. So this will be the frequency for change of electric field strength. Now the time period. Now we are calculating time period for that oscillator. You know time period to complete one oscillations. So let T be the time period of alternating electric field. Then the polarity will change after T by 2. If T is the time period of oscillating, then to change, then the polarities will change after T by 2. Let's say time period is T. So T by is equal to just now we have done pi m upon qb. So T is equal to 2 pi m upon. So this is the time period of the electric field. And frequency, if we talk about the next slide, if we talk about frequency, if you remember, is 1 upon T. So it is qb upon 2 pi m. Okay. Next term will be measure energy. Now in this, how much energy is gained by positive charge particle? If you remember, the energy formula E is equal to half mv square. So kinetic energy we are talking about basically half mv square. We substitute the value of E from earlier equation. So this becomes half m. And how much is V is the first equation. If you look at from here we can measure this V can be measured as QBR upon M. It is QBR upon M. Okay, so MM will cancel, so it is simply and whole square. So 1m will cancel, so we got of q square v square r square upon So this is the energy gained by. So now let's see what is the limitation also. Okay, one more slide. And limitations. Limitation of cyclotron. First, cyclotron cannot accelerate the uncharged particle. First, it is now used for uncharged particle. Second, cyclotron can accelerate electron as they have a small mass. Uncharged, second one is positively charged particle on. Means electron cannot be accelerated. These are the two. Okay. So we have finished today the cyclotron, and so we'll do so what is left. Let me see. Lorentz force. Okay. Let me finish today's topic with the term we use when a charged particle is moving under the magnetic field. When a charge, so let's talk about force acting on magnetic field. Lorentz force or magnetic Lorentz force. Force on moving charge particle under magnetic. Okay. Okay. So this is the topic: force moving under charge, moving charge, force on moving charge particle under magnetic field. So whenever charge particle is moved under a magnetic field, it experiences a force which is called magnetic Lorentz force. Lorentz force, and which depend upon first we did atom Lorentz force proportion to charge. Second, the amount of force proportion to V sin theta. The magnitude of force is directly proportional to the component of velocity along the direction perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field, which is V sin theta. And third factor is how much magnetic field you applied, the strength of magnetic field. So after combining all these three, F, the Lorentz force is simply QVB sin theta. And we can remove the proportionality constant, so it is simply, or in vector form, Q V cross B. Okay, this is the Lorentz force. And the direction of force is determined by Fleming left-hand rule. Fleming left-hand rule. If you remember, you can check the Fleming, the direction of force is Fleming left-hand rule. What is direction? If you stretch a finger, the left hand finger, the center finger and the thumb of our left hand in mutually perpendicular direction. So that the forefinger point toward the direction of field, the center finger along the direction of current, and the thumb will give the direction of force experienced by charge particle. That means thumb, forefinger, so this will represent the forefinger. And V is the direction of moving particle. Then this will be the direction of sun. So it will be perpendicular to V and D, left and thumb. Yeah. So I am finishing it now. We will continue later.